I'm doing a bit of a knitting day today. Not actually knitting, but looking at some knitting that I did. This is kind of a historical thing because this is a sampler blanket that I started long ago. Might have been around 1977. I kind of have a memory of buying the brown and the cream colored yarn at a store in Ithaca, which would have been in the late 1970s, and starting this project. And then for various reasons of things I had to do and injuries to my arm, it was boxed up and put away. And then the local library here started a knit and crochet group a few years ago, and that kind of reminded me of this and got me to take it out and finish it. And I didn't have enough of the original. If anyone remembers Sayel yarn, I believe that's what this was, red wrapper. So what I did, I got the mint green color in Red Heart Super Saver and used that. So I didn't make it a checkerboard. I made it kind of a random, semi-random pattern, and I think it worked out pretty well. It's, I think one of the reasons I put it away because I wasn't getting all the blocks the same size, and that kind of distressed me a bit. But then I just decided to, hey, I'm going to put it together, you know. It's not doing anybody any good sitting in a box all taped up neatly. So here it is, my first foray into knitting, I think, other than a scarf for my college roommate and a pair of really disastrous mittens, I think, was my first project. Instead of shrinking, they kept getting bigger. I had cut matching sleeping bags with thumbs, you know. Anyway, so this is the book that this came out of. And the copyright date on it, I believe, is 1968, if I did okay with my Roman numbers. Down on there. I don't think it'll focus on that. It's over here, but it's MCMLXVIII. So if anybody's better at Roman numerals than I am, you can work that out. And so this was not the wool that it was meant to have, but it was what was at the store and what I could afford. So that's what I used. And there's 100 stitches. They stretch that a little because a couple of them are the same thing, only a little bigger size. But and you're to pick from that selection of 100. Pick out enough to make your blanket. So, and this was before they put names on stitches, so they just had numbers, you know, number 100, number 99. And some of them are really fancy, some of them are really plain, but it was interesting to do. And, you know, now you don't have to do this on your own and figure things out. Now you can use YouTube, or you can get books still. This is one I just got recently, 150 stitch patterns. Now they have color pictures and they have names and you know, charted directions and everything. So if you want to do one like this, you know, it's kind of easier now if you want to use YouTube and all these other options that you have. And I have a little more information about these on my Ravelry page, but not a lot because there isn't really a lot to put. So anyway, from the time that I made this, I then started making, I thought I'll make some for Project Linus. And I made several more blankets, and I gave a couple of them away to private individuals who were kind of having a hard time. And I think in all, I've probably made about a dozen. And I do have still a few that I kept for myself, and now I'm going to pause and I'm going to switch to those. So I started making them smaller, kind of as, I call them recliner blankets. and so they, not full bed size. And I started doing mostly cables, because I really like cables. And I figure if you're going to have a blanket, not have big holes in it. So most of these are cables, or pseudo cables, I guess you might call them too. And I started making little variations on the stitches and putting them together in different ways and that. And unfortunately, some people think some of my design features are mistakes. You know, like I crossed this the other way here, and that wasn't a mistake. I just throw some of those things in once in a while, but I found that people do tend to think they're done by mistake, so maybe I won't do them so much anymore. But so here are some of my really favorite cables, and I just blocked this after several years of it being done and hanging around, and I just got, that's why I actually have these out, because I've been blocking them. And so this one is kind of so nice. Oh, it's Red Heart Super Saver colors. Okay, and I'm going to pause again, and I've got one more I'm going to throw out here and look at. Okay, so here's the third one, and in size it's sort of between the first two. And with this one I started doing something that was kind of fun and kind of purposeful, which is slip stitching or chaining with a crochet hook on the joins to reinforce them and actually just to kind of look fun. And yeah, all these edges, should have said that, all these edges are crochet. After the knitting is done, then it's crochet around it and use crochet to put them together. And there's a couple different ways. Slip stitching through both loops, slip stitching through just the back loop, slip stitching through just the front loop. There's different ways you can do it. They're all really easy. You don't have to really know how to crochet. All you have to do is pull up a loop and reach through and pull up another loop. So, I mean, it's kind of really basic kind of thing you could, you know, do without any crochet background. So here's another spot where I used a chain, and I just kind of, you know, wiggled back and forth and joined it in with the pattern, and just for fun, kind of little curls and little loops and things like that. But like I say, I did kind of like the idea of reinforcing the joins on them. And another thing I like is to use some of the variegated yarn in between. I don't like making a whole thing out of variegated. It really kind of kills the pattern. But here and there for fun, you know. And then I didn't use the same yarn for joining everywhere. I just kind of do these things as I feel like at the time. There's a little difficulty with doing a sampler blanket in that, you know, it can pull in different directions, stretch in different directions. It's not going to be a perfect, perfectly symmetrical straight piece. You have to be in the mood for some fun. But I figured, you know, for people who aren't well, or kids in Project Linus, they're just some fun designs to look at. They're colors, they're designs, they're things you can run your hand over and have fun with, you know. So that's my thing with these. I didn't really show a close-up of these original ones. Some of these have some pretty good size holes in them, and, you know, they're pretty. And some of them are very easy. Some of these, like, you know, this diamond thing, and sort of a checkerboard, seed stitch checkerboard, and some of these other ones are massively complicated. Like this one here. Well, I won't say massively complicated, that's exaggerating a bit, but it seemed, you know, you've got 3 different things going on here, so some of them pull a little more than I would like. Maybe I just don't know how to do it properly. They distort a little. But quite a few of these that I used in this one have holes in them. And that was before I just kind of gave up on holes and went to cables. So I may make a few more. I don't know what I'm going to do next, but anyway, so if you're interested in doing this, it's just a matter of picking something. Some of the internet things are like New Stitch a Day, I think, is one of the sites and places like that where you can just go there and flip through and find all sorts of things if you don't want to invest in something like this. It does have the advantage that you can carry it around with you all day, all week, all month, and it never runs out of battery power to look at it. So, you know, this poor thing is sort of falling apart despite all my efforts to take good care of it. But anyway, so this is pretty popular. I've seen it for resale in a few places, and so I'm kind of hanging on to mine. Nobody's getting mine. Sorry. Okay, so I think that's enough for me for today. I'll just sign off now. Have fun.